Episode 4 of The Time Traveler's Wife just dropped on HBO Max. Let's recap. So the opening scene, Claire asserts that she and Henry met out of order. She retreats to the idea that neither she nor Henry have free will or agency over their lives together. Henry backs that up a couple of scenes later, contending that nobody has agency when they're falling in love. That's why it's called falling. Oh boy, I knew right then that this is going the wrong way. So then they swap scenes, driveling about excusing younger Henry's obnoxious behavior and Claire having no free will in planning out her life. I mean, really? Anywho, they sound alike. And couples who have been around each other for an extended period of time do. But Claire and Henry in this episode parrot each other's sentiments, which under scrutiny means that young Claire grew up being groomed by Henry. So then, 26-year-old Henry meets Claire's friends for an intimate dinner party at Claire's house. Claire's roommate is Ingrid. Ingrid's boyfriend is Gomez. They're all really close friends. But then, naked 41-year-old Henry pops up abruptly. And Claire and 26-year-old Henry scrambled for a way for him to join this party. Then, brace yourself. Flashback to 2006 on Claire's 18th birthday. She knows that she's the Claire. So she's coming on to Henry because she knows that they are married in the future, and she uses this as a way to let him know that she's legal. Henry refuses Claire's advances to convince us, the audience, that he has moral objectivity, and so he doesn't cave to his future wife's open invitation. Really? The man who used one of his variants to pleasure himself, we are supposed to believe that he has moral objectivity. Okay, I'll buy it. He has rules. He gives her, before he leaves, he gives her permission to live her life. He says that he won't see her for 2 years. Okay. They kiss. Of course, she advances him. She plants a kiss on him. He kisses her back. They kiss for the first time. It's not that that is a problem with this scene. I don't think that's the big problem with the scene. The music forces the point to make the scene romantic. And we really didn't need the music. They used the music as a device to force the mood. The next scene, it's a year later, and she's sleeping with none other than her roommate's boyfriend, Gomez. Remember, we saw him in the dinner party scene, exchanging barbs with Henry. She sleeps with him. The next 5 minutes are spent forcing the idea that Claire's actually a good person. I mean, after all, she's only 19. Everybody makes mistakes at 19. She tosses Gomez out of the apartment because now she has moral objectivity. Because her roommate Ingrid will be home any minute. But before he leaves, Gomez confesses his love to Claire, and Claire says, "I'm sorry, but I only love Henry. He's my soulmate." No one knows Henry at this point. And Gomez, after he's thrown out, goes downstairs. Right outside of Claire's apartment, here is 26-year-old Henry and his then girlfriend fighting, like having a really heated argument, which Gomez breaks up to protect his girlfriend and sends Henry the other way. Meanwhile, In Claire's backyard, 18-year-old Claire and 41-year-old Henry sleep together. And they argue before this back and forth because he's never officially popped the question to her. They just got married because they can't control time, quote unquote. And then 41-year-old Henry pops up naked in the public park across the street from Claire's house. There are kids there. And this is when he crashes this dinner party. So at this dinner party, there is Claire, there is Claire's roommate Ingrid, Ingrid's boyfriend Gomez, and two Henrys, 26-year-old Henry, 41-year-old Henry, and 26-year-old Henry's then girlfriend. So he was dating Claire and another woman. And Claire and this other woman, although they don't like each other, they're having drinks together and enjoying. And she's allowed to stay at this dinner party. Fine. The Henrys reveal to the entire party that they are time travelers. Now, they really only have to tell two people. That's Ingrid and Gomez. But they're like convinced. They believe it. Especially when Henry pops out of this time. Now that Gomez is convinced that Henry's a time traveler, he asks the Henrys for stock tips. I mean, you gotta ask. But Henry discourages insider trading. But he does admit that he funds his and Claire's lifestyle with lottery winnings. And, they start to say, well, you could warn people about natural disasters and train wrecks. But Henry scoffs at the notion that he would have to remember all of these things to warn people. I mean, I'm telling you, you're not going to be rooting for these people. In a really touching scene, Henry's girlfriend realizes that she isn't going to be alive for his future. So she begs 41-year-old Henry to tell her about her future. Tell her if she's going to be alive, how she dies, and when. And Henry has a rule not to reveal the future or too much of the future. So he doesn't tell her. And there's an inference from the tension that she might have killed herself over Henry. She's a cutter and she reveals the scars on her wrists. 41-year-old Henry confesses that he himself has never time traveled after the age of 41. And then he disappears out of this time, and now they really know that they were telling the truth. Henry might have been popping up in Claire's backyard since she was 6 because he's dead. Back in Claire's backyard, she finds a note that Henry left behind that reads, "Have mercy." This episode in execution was more entertaining than the previous episodes. This is episode 4. There are only 2 episodes remaining in this series. So we'll see how the showrunners handle Claire and Henry marrying, why he never proposed to her, because he's never proposed, they just marry, and how they write Claire's fetus time traveling or her miscarrying. I think she miscarried 6 times. So in these next 2 episodes, hopefully we'll understand those story arcs. But thank you so much. If you stuck around this long, I certainly appreciate you. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And until next time, peace.